Studio Ghibli, founded in 1985 by Hayao Miyazaki, Toshio Suzuki, and Isao Takahata. They are most famous for making movies like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, lots of very well-known Japanese animated films that have stood the test of time. However, they have made a lot of movies. About, I would say, 23. And seeing how this is like a spiritual sequel to my Pixar ranking video, except with a studio that no one's even heard of, and except the only people that have heard of it are people in the animation community, and most of the general public don't even know what Studio Ghibli even is. I'm gonna talk about their films, specifically all the 23 of them, including Nausicaa, because well, come on, it's Nausicaa. It's very, well, if I can find it, there it is. It's basically a Ghibli film. It's included in Ghibli if you search it up on Netflix, which all these movies are on Netflix except for Grave of the Fireflies and The Boy and the Heron. I don't get why Grave of the Fireflies, but I do guess Boy and the Heron. It came out very recently. But anyways, enough talking about not Ghibli. Well, we are talking about Ghibli, but let's talk about more Ghibli. I'm gonna go on record and say that this is my favorite animation studio of all time. But there are a couple stinkers here, more so than the regular animation studio. That's a lie. Obviously when you watch Pixar and Blue Sky. Pixar, their worst movie is Bug's Life, which I gave a 6 out of 10, but I've gone on record saying that I think it has one of the worst plots of any movie ever, and some of the most unlikable characters in any animated film, with the exception of Flick and Dawson and the Circus Bugs, because, well, they're just funny and likable. Every other character in that film can go screw themselves. But in this, it's a lot more versatile. And I think it's going to be interesting to talk about this. So, as per usual with the other ranking videos, I have a tier list. So, F is the worst, E is bad, D is decent, that was not on purpose, C is good, B is great, A is amazing, also not on purpose, and S is masterpiece. So, we're gonna go and rank all these movies, and I have the number of them in the back, so hardy har. Anyway, let's talk about these movies, starting with, as I mentioned, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Oh, and by the way, I'm not using any clips from these movies because, well, copyright. I don't want to get copyrighted for stealing out the clips, even though they're for a ranking video, and not for bad purposes. Anyway, Nausicaa. So this is the first film by sort of Ghibli. So Nausicaa was released in 1984, but Ghibli was founded in 1985. But people have gone on record saying that this is basically a Ghibli film, even if it wasn't actually made by them. So when I first watched this, again, back in September, because I watched a lot of these back in like 2021 and 2022, but I stopped because Tales from Earthsea existed and I didn't want to watch it. So I rewatched most of these movies for this ranking because I feel like I had to, because if I didn't, then I look like a very dumb person. Anyway, Nausicaa. So I originally gave this film an 8, but now that I look back at it, I think it's definitely a lot better than I gave it credit for. So it's an 8.5. And the film itself, I think, is very good. The animation, of course, is spectacular, as I will mention in most of these movies. Except for Eric and the Witch. And the characters are very likable, if not just a bit boring. I feel like I feel like I've compared this to, what film? Princess Mononoke a bit. Because they're very similar. You know, a world where a fantasy exists and there's a war against humans and nature, and this one woman is trying to, save nature, even though she's a human. So, yeah. That's basically, I think that they're very similar. Also, they're both made by Hayao Miyazaki. I think they both have the same composer. If I'm wrong about that, am I? Most of these films are composed by Joe Hisaishi, so yes. Also, yes, I was right. You're probably very surprised about how good I'm able to pronounce Japanese names. Well, there's no particular reason. I just am. Anyway, Nausicaa. So yeah, the characters are a bit stale, but they're not bad characters. I think they're very likable and sort of interesting. The final battle at the end is exhilarating and has such a massive scale, considering that this was not Miyazaki's first movie, but his second film, because he had directed Lupin the Third beforehand, which that's a bit way too far. Which yes is also considered to be not a Ghibli film, but it's usually put in the category of Miyazaki's films, even if it wasn't actually made by, you know, Ghibli. But whereas Lupin the Third isn't considered a Ghibli film, this film definitely is. Even though it's not really their first movie, more like their zeroth film. So yeah, the music great, the animation exhilarating, the characters not the most interesting and a bit cliche, but still very good. And it is well voice actor as well, and it's just an all around very good, great film. I put it there in the ranking. We are at the first movie, so let's not jump ahead of ourselves now, okay? Good. I don't know who I'm talking to, but who cares? Anyway, next film, Castle in the Sky. This is the next Ghibli film, and I watched it subbed. I watched all these films dubbed, except for this and another film. When we were gonna get to it, and I have some things to say about it. The reason I watched it subbed, I keep getting the two mixed up, sorry. The reason I watched it subbed is because the two main people that play the two main characters, Pazu and Shita, are very bad because they do not sound like kids. They sound like adults. I mean, the people that play the two of them in the Japanese version are also adults, but they sound more like kids. In this one, Pazu sounds like a teen, even though he looks about 10. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And plus, their actual voices are just very annoying and don't fit them at all. So I had to watch it subbed, even if Mark Hamill and Jim Cummings were in the dub, which, of course, that's the most epic thing ever. But yeah, I love this film because I don't know if I've gone on record saying this, but I love the sky. Like everything involved with the sky. Actually, I'm actually creating a comic about the sky, but you're gonna wait a little bit for that. But, yeah. This is a very great, fantastic film. I love it so much. Everything about it. The animation, the music, the characters, the action. This thing dropped. The action, everything is great. My one criticism would be that it's a bit stretched out. Like, some scenes could have been shortened a bit because it's 124 minutes. Not that I was ever bored, but some scenes go on for a bit too long, like the fight scene between the two guys in the town. Like, I feel like they could have shortened that just a little bit. Also, I don't like how the adults are attracted to Shita, who was a 10-year-old child. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Miyazaki. So, yeah, I put this in A. So it's a 9 out of 10. Good film. Great film. Amazing film. As says here. Next film. I keep going all the way. Damn it. Grave of the Fireflies. Whew. Holy sh... S tier. Like, freaking S tier. It's not even close. Like, this motion picture is something else. This is the first Ghibli film that came out and that made people say, oh, this is not for kids. Because it is definitely, most certainly not for kids. It is very dark. Like, very depressing. Like, so freaking horrifying. You'll definitely have to think about it for the next couple weeks. But everything about this is spectacular. The animation, the characters, the voice acting, how dark it is, how, like, realistic it is, how beautiful its portrayal of death is, how haunting the soundtrack is, how everything has such an eerie atmosphere throughout the whole thing. A problem I have is that it's a bit slow at the start, but it picks up so fast you'll barely even notice. This is a film that everyone in their life needs to watch. But watch a happy film directly after. I mean, I watched Monty Python on the Holy Grail for the first time, and it was very weird, let me tell you. It didn't even end. So, yeah, as I mentioned, put it here. It's a very good film. What the hell am I saying? It's an incredible film, a masterpiece of cinema. You need to watch it right now. Hold on, let me try something. Okay, now it works. Anyway, My Neighbor Totoro, their most well-known film. This was the first film that people said, okay, this studio's a banger. And yep, they're correct. This film is great. I love it. Not the best. People, of course, this is another example of importance does not always equal quality. This film is just very, very adorable and happy. Except near the end where it gets a little bit sad, but, you know, it's a Ghibli film. When is it ever happy? Yeah. That's basically the best way to sum up this movie. Is that it is a very, 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 very happy film that has a couple moments in it that get a little bit dark and over the top and stuff and whatnot. But, yeah. That's what my basic idea of the film is. It's great, but not one of their best, as there's not really a story, and the fantasy stuff isn't that prevalent, despite Totoro being in the poster and his name being in the freaking title. It's more of just a slice of life film with these two sisters, who are combined together in this picture, as you can see. Yeah, the original film, it was originally meant to be one girl, but of course there was two sisters, who in the English dub are voiced by actual sisters. Yeah, Dakota and Ellie Fanning. I know Dakota Fanning because she was in She was in Lilo and Stitch 2. Stitch has a glitch because she had to replace the original voice actress who played her, who I forgot her name, but she plays Chihiro in Spirited Away, which we'll also get to. But yeah, also Pat Carroll is in this, who plays Ursula, I think. Yep, and that's funny. Also, Frank Welker plays Totoro. Like, come on, that's damn. So yeah, that's basically the film for me. It's great, it has beautiful animation, likable characters, is paced really well, and the actual fantasy moments are like exhilarating. But I wish they were included in the film a bit more, and it could stick to a consistent tone, since the tone goes all over the place in this film. So yeah, I put this in B tier. That's basically what I think of the film. It's good. It's great. It's like directly in the middle. Just a fun film to vibe to, if you're ever feeling down. There's another Ghibli film that's even happier, but we'll get to that. Next up is Kiki's Delivery Service, another well-known film of theirs. Except this one is very different from My Neighbor Totoro, despite being from the same director. It has an actual story. Well, more like a basic idea of a plot. The movie follows Kiki, a young witch who moves to the port city of Kodako with her cat Gigi and starts a flying courier service. So a thing I like to appreciate is that they actually got a sort of person of age to play Kiki, Kristen Dunst, who at the time of this recording was 15, and the actual character is 13. That's close enough. They can never get the exact age, because, I mean, imagine getting a freaking 13-year-old to play this character. Yeah, right. If only, I don't know, Corey Feldman was around. Bad example. Yeah. This movie, it's great. I love it so much. I really connect with this film and Kiki's struggles, and Dee is just such a fun character, and also known as just such a likable character. All the characters in this film are likable, except for Tombo. He's Also, there's a character called Ursula, and Pat Carroll, who plays Ursula in Little Mermaid, came out the previous was in the English dub of My Neighbor Totoro. And the funny thing is that this year, the was it The Little Mermaid came out, and there's a character called Ursula By pack, you know where I'm going with this. It's a bad joke, just admit it. But yeah, I love this film. The characters are likable, except Tombo. It's a very identifiable story that doesn't always rely on the fantasy. The flying scenes are exhilarating. It's really funny. It's just an all around great time that I think a lot of people, young people, should watch in their life. But not the next film. Oh, by the way, I put it here. So, I have a thing with this film only yesterday. As you can see, it has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And when I first watched it back in 2021, I paid very little attention to it. Because why would I? It's a boring movie about real life. That's dumb. We don't like real life. We like fantasy movies and whatnot. But I feel like I really should have watched it again. To give it a second chance. To see why it is considered to be one of their best films of all time. Eat here. It's so bad. Good God, I hated this movie. Good God, what are people saying this movie? It is so, like, oh God, I hated this film so much. Like, I'm shocked how this is considered to be one of their best movies. You actually like this movie? I thought it was a joke. Like, I thought people were joking that this movie is considered to be one of their most compelling and interesting and formative and beautiful stories of all time. I was sitting there through most of the film thinking, God, I want to kill everyone in this movie. It's so horrible. Like, most of the characters in this film are horribly unlikable and I'm not able to sympathize with them when they're constantly destroying the main character, who isn't even likable in the slightest in the flashbacks. She's completely whiny, which there are characters in these films of this age that are whiny, but they're still likable. I still care for them. With this one, she deserved all the crap she got. But at the same time, no, she didn't, because her family is full of jackasses. Her actual family is so... God, where do I start? They're so... like, awful to her. Like, her dad, like, full on, no joke, go see the film for yourself, whacks her right on the face because she went outside without her shoes. Yeah, he's so likable, guys, but what a cool character. And don't pull the 1966 card on me because the film takes place in 1966, saying, oh, this is how people treated the kids back then. Yeah, sure, okay, I don't care. It's still bad. Like, you're not able to do that. I goddamn hate this movie so much. It's so awful. Even the animation feels wrong somehow. How did they mess up the animation? The best part of all these movies, except Earwig and the Witch, because the film sucks anyway. As you thought. Spoiler for later in the list, by the way. But, like, in the 1982, in, like, the scenes that take place in the now, in 1982, which why not take place in 1999? That all the adult characters, they have cheekbones. Like, why do they have cheekbones? It's so unnerving and weird. But the funny thing is that in the 1966 flashbacks, none of them have cheekbones. So I don't know what the hell was going on, Takahata. How did you go down from making one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life to such a pathetic excuse for a drama I've ever seen? At least the music is still pretty good. It's very harshly, it portrays a dysfunctional family really well. But, like, how can I praise this film when so many things about it are just so wrong? It's, like, such a bad film. I do not recommend it at all. But maybe if you're having a bad time in your life, maybe watch Kiki's Delivery Service, but do not watch this pathetic excuse for a film. Anyway, moving on from that train wreck, we have a plain good. I don't know. Porco Rosso. I love this film. I've already mentioned that I love this guy, and this film just solidifies that. It's such a fun movie. Let me just check my ranking list to see if everything is in ship shape. Nope. You did not see anything. I messed up this rank, but I'm not restarting this video. Yeah, right. Yep, okay. Everything's good. I'm doing this correctly. I have it in the correct place. But Yeah, I really love this film. Of course, it's not the same problem as a couple other Ghibli Miyazaki films where they have the adults simping over the child because Theo is 17 in this film and all the pirates are simping for her. Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Hayao Miyazaki. Let me just get a little person here for you. Oh, Chris! I could have used that joke for a My Thoughts Of video, but I didn't know where to put it, so I'm just using it for this instead. Is it good? Please don't tell me it's not. I don't know what that meant. I'm just gonna continue to talk about the film. Let's talk about the voice acting. It's very good, except for Carrie Elways, because for some reason he can never do movies where he plays someone of his descent, English. Like Robin Hood, he plays British in that. But in most of the films he's in, he usually always playing an American. Twister, Liar Liar. This. At least he played a British in the other Whisper of the Heart and Coward Returns, which we will get to as well. We will get to all these films. But yeah, this is just a fun movie, and I love it. And the animation is great, and so is the music. There's this one scene of all the planes flying in the air that's so beautiful. I think it's one of the best shots in any Ghibli film. It's just a great film. Let's go on to the next one, and this is their first TV movie, which there are two. Ocean Waves. I was expecting to not like this film, but hey, only yesterday was very bad, but they could probably improve with making another film focusing on real life. Maybe it'll be good. No. Oh god, no. No, 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 no. No, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, this film, this movie is genuinely, no joke, no exaggerations, one of the worst films I have ever seen in my entire life. Somehow, Studio Ghibli, one of what I've just admitted a couple 22 minutes ago to be one of the best animation studios, hell, the best animation studio out there, and they make this. It doesn't even make sense. It's so it's so awful. It's terrible. The characters either range from really stupid or horribly unlikable, especially the woman character. She's so horrible. Not only is she completely manipulative and whiny, but she's completely arrogant as well. Constantly trying to manipulate the main boy character into, doing the thing she wants. At least give Eric the Witch credit. At least the main character was somewhat likable. Even the single tiniest iota that she actually had a personality. It was a bad personality, but at least it was more personality than this whole travesty of a motion picture. At least the film had at least the Mandrake was okay. At least it actually had a story, even if it wasn't finished. This film is just high school crushes and stuff. That's it. It's just boring ass romantic drama bullcrap. That's so boring and so I was sitting through this and I was so dead inside. I was considering turning off entirely, but I had to watch it. I had to watch this film for you, so you better watch the video. It was so terrible. There's this bit at the end where the main boy character reminisces about all the great times he had with girl character, but it's all the moments he flashbacks about are just her being a bitch and it's see you next Tuesday. And if you know curse words, you know what that word means. It is such an abominable waste of a film that does not deserve to be seen by anyone. I sat through this piece of trash, so you don't have to. It goes at the very bottom. It is so not worth anyone's time, especially not yours. Whew. Well, that was anyway, time to move on to another film I like. This one is actually another Takahata film, except unlike only yesterday, I actually like this film. Pompoko is definitely the weirdest film ever made by Ghibli. It's more focused on comedy rather than being a spectacle, and it feels like Takahata was trying to make a Miyazaki film. Since I've watched most of the films by these two guys, I'm able to tell the differences between both of them. With Miyazaki, the films are usually more detailed, but the characters move more cartoonishly, whereas this film is not as detailed, but the characters move more realistically. As I said, this is like Takahata trying to make a Miyazaki film, but it works to some extent. What I don't like is how inconsistent the tone is. Like, sometimes it can be really upbeat and fun and cool and stuff, and then at the snap of a finger, it can turn into like an environmental depressing drama film. And it's just such a massive bad example, just a bad version of tonal whiplash, where it just completely goes from one tone to another. A film that came out 20 years later, the Lego Movie, also a tonal whiplash, but it works in the favor of the story because the drama in it is way more compelling and interesting. With this film, it's just funny tanuki with big balls. Yeah, it's a very weird film. It's an awkward film. At least they don't show the balls on the poster. Or do they? I don't know. I don't want to know. Every time I watch this film, I see them like inflating their nutsacks, and I'm like, ugh. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the animation's really good, especially the Nightmare Carnival Festival thing. The characters are still very likable, even if there isn't actually a main character in this film. I guess Shokichi is the main character, but like, I don't know. Also, he's voiced by Jonathan Taylor Thomas, so that's something, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, it's well voice acted, well animated. The story is interesting to say the least. It's very unique from what they did before, but at the same time, the tonal whiplash, the forced environmental message, and the weirdness of some of the scenes can decrease my enjoyment a little bit. It's just a very awkward film, but I recommend to watch it once because it's just such a fun time if you watch it with friends and drunk. I didn't do that because, of course, I'm not old enough to drink, but maybe if I actually did have the courage to drink, then maybe if when I was older, then maybe I would watch this film with friends because it's a joy to watch all the weird crap that happens. So I put it here. Very good. Anyway, moving on, we have Whisper of the Harsh, another one of their most well-known films. No, that was a joke. I don't actually mean that because it's a very unknown film, especially since it's the only film by Yoshifumi Kondo, who unfortunately died in 1998 because he got an aneurysm because of stress from working. Which, this film sort of tackles that as well. It's kind of like an omen, a very unfortunate omen. So the film follows Shizuku, who is a writer, like me, and has a bit of struggle writing because of all the things that happen in her life. You know, she has a crush on this boy, she has to deal with family and school, but she always has a passion to write, even if she doesn't think it's good, even if everyone tells her so. When I first watched this, I didn't care for it, because realistic Ghibli film, that's gonna be bad. But I rewatched after watching the Fearless review of it, and it really opened my eyes to how relatable this film is to most writers, especially me. I have a big problem with procrastinating, especially when working on these videos, and also doing school, and other stuff as well, like watching films for these videos. But if I do have the time, then I do write. And when I do, I can make some very good stuff appear on the paper. But yeah, aside from how relatable this film is to me and most other writers, It's well animated. The romance is really cute. There's a lot of great moments that I think is one of the best in all of Ghibli. It's very emotional and powerful. My only problem is that there's a couple scenes that don't really matter to the film that just really like make me a little bit eh. But yeah, that's basically what I thought of the film. Uh, it goes here, so it's above Castle in the so it's above whatever here, but below Castle in the Sky. So yeah, it is a very, 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 very good movie, and I hope you agree with me because if you don't, that's fine. I don't care. Okay, now we're back to the banger. I mean, Christopher the Heart is also a banger, but this film, I've said that a lot in this ranking, but good lord, this movie is amazing. The animation, the score, the scale, the action, the violence. This was rated PG-13. This is not a kid's film. If you think it is not a kid's film. There's blood on the freaking cover of the poster. I mean, come on. It is such an incredible film. But damn it, the main San is just such a boring character. She has the typical traits of the environmentalist character in a environmentalism film. You know, Ferngully, Avatar, Pocahontas. The one that is always like, oh, don't kill the forest and stuff. Oh, boo-hoo. But, I mean, she's still a very interesting character. And, yeah, something else. Anyways, the main character is also very interesting as well, Ashitaka. But I think the one standout for me that really makes me love this film is Lady Eboshi, who's basically the villain, but also not the villain. She's like the queen from Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, except done leagues better, because the thing about Lady Eboshi is that she's not directly a villain. A villain would have no sympathy for anyone and would simply only do the thing that she does for greed. But she's doing the thing she does because she cares about her people. And because she runs a place called Irontown, which has a lot of destruction, which destroys a lot of the forest, which angers San and the wolf spirits, and also the forest spirit as well. It has a very goofy looking face that I love. And yeah, she's not destroying the forest just because she wants money. She's doing it because she needs the materials to keep her people surviving. And I think that's really admirable. Of course, she's still the villain, and she gets what she deserves. But at the same time, I didn't want to see her fail. Like, maybe do it a different way. Because she's still a very likable character, even if she is the quote-unquote antagonist of the film. Like, I think people need to see a difference between antagonist and villain. A villain is just someone who's completely evil and, does no good. An antagonist is more not like a full-on villain, but someone whose morals are in the right place and needs to be changed. I think good examples of antagonists are like Alma in Encanto, and, well, of course, Lady Eboshi in this. But yeah, the characters, the music, the animation, the scale, it's all just done to perfection. The details of everything in the animation is just so good, and it's paced really well. Despite being 2 hours and 14 minutes, it is such an incredible film that's paced super well and never makes me bored. So I put it right here. I almost forgot to put it in, but lo and behold, I'm not dumb. I think, I don't know. Anyways, moving on from that, we have My Neighbor the Yamadas. Their first-ish comedy film. Is first-ish? I don't know. Yeah, this film is very not known. It's another Takahata film, so of course nobody knows what it is. I like this film. It is a very good film. What I don't like about this film is that it has some of the worst pacing in any Ghibli film I've seen. Look how long this film is. 104 minutes. It's way too long. And the whole style, the whole thing of this quirky ass family in Japan gets old real fast. It's very boring near the end. But of course, the actual ending where the dad gives a speech, entirely improvised, not by the actor but by the actual character, was one of the best moments in the film. But the actual film itself isn't trying to be grand or spectacular. It's just trying to be a fun, quirky little comedy about this goofy off family in Japan that is also not the most likable characters in the film. Yeah, it's a very yeah. The actual Yamada family, aside from Nonoko, are not like the most nicest people. They're sometimes a bit rude to like to each other. Well, that's like most families. They're usually rude and say bad things when they're with each other, but when they're in the outside world, they're more respectful and actually don't say bad things. Also, I just noticed that this was distributed by Shoshaku. That's funny because they're the second oldest film studio in the world, founded in 1895 because Gaumont was founded a couple months earlier in France because France made everything, including film. So, yeah. This film, back to this, I love the animation. It has this like comic sketch style, which is based on what the comic was trying to do, which this is based on a comic, and I think it is done really well. Some parts of the film I don't like. Of course, I've already mentioned the massive pace problem, but the characters are still very likable and quirky. The animation's very well done. The music's very good. I don't like how they just sideline the daughter hard, even though she's like the most popular character in the comic. Like the comic's literally called Nono-chan, and the daughter is called Nonoko. Like, is that coincidence? I think not. So I put this at the bottom of not D tier, not D tier, C tier. Well, this is going very badly. Yeah, das. Yeah, there's nothing on this side. Just I'll let you know. So yeah, very good film. Anyway, time to go into their best film. Unless there's a secret film on near the end of the ranking. That could be Spirited Away, but we'll have to wait to see, find out. Anyway, Spirited Away! Yes, this film. The most well-known Ghibli film. The only one to ever win Best Animated Feature. And you know what I think about the other film that's also got a Best Animated Feature nomination. I should have won, but lost to a Disney film. I think you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, Spirited Away. Do I even have to talk about why this film is a masterpiece? My dumbass self gave it a 9 out of 10 when I first watched it. Because apparently I was high back then. Who would have thought? But this film is so much more than a 9. It is a 15 out of 10. It is a masterpiece. The animation, the voice acting, the story, the mythical elements, how haunting it is. It's such a brilliant movie that has one of the best character arcs. Chihiro goes from just a completely unlikable-ish character that's super whiny and annoying, and goes to become this super, like, advanced character, like, super, amazing, like, she's so capable and other things. Actually, she's not annoying throughout the film. She's a realistic portrayal of what a kid would act like in a situation like this. And I thought I'd just check the dub version. Actually, they got it. Never mind. Anyways, yeah. This film. I don't need to talk about why it's the best. You already know why it's the best. Or is it? You probably notice I'm leaving a bit of a space near the end. Spirited Away. Yeah. This film, you need to watch it. It's even if you don't care about Ghibli or anime, if you're an animation fan, you need to watch this at least once in your life. Because it is such an amazing movie. Next up, we got The Cat Returns. A very small scale film that isn't trying to be big or massive. It's just a fun little goofy adventure in this cat world. It's basically a spiritual sequel to Whisper of the Heart, or a spin-off, as this Wikipedia article says. And of course, Carrie always returns as the Baron cat character guy person. And of course, one thing I don't like is how fast it is. The movie's only 75 minutes, and I think they could have expanded it a little bit more. And plus, like, the actual real life part of the film, it just isn't that interesting. Like, it feels a bit generic. But once Haru goes into the fantasy world, and weird things start happening to her. That's when the film really starts to get going, because it's actually very interesting and fun, and it's a very funny movie, and Tim Curry is in the English dub. I mean, come on! That's epic. Great. Love it. Okay, I don't love it, but it's a very good film. I like it. Alright, time for what was probably going to be the most controversial pick in the whole video. Howl's Moving Castle. Oh boy. You all know that this is considered to be one of Miyazaki's best movies, considered one of the best animated films of all time, and I only put it in C tier. What the hell? It's good. My camera's out of focus again. It's good, but I cannot see why it's the best. The tone is all over the place. It doesn't know if it wants to be a slice of life story, a compelling drama about war, like a fun fantasy, whimsical film and such, a dark fantasy. It doesn't know what it wants to be. There's so many desperate tones that it goes through that it just becomes overwhelming. And plus, Sophie is just not the most interesting protagonist, and the film is a bit too long and can get a bit slow in some parts. But nevertheless, I still really like this film. The animation is beautiful and stellar. There's a lot of funny moments between some of the characters, especially the Mike Wazowski fire. He's funny. I like Hal. He's such an interesting character that's sometimes dark and moody, but also whimsical. And there's like two sides to him. You don't know which side to trust, because he's so different in both sides. But yeah, I really like this film, but I wouldn't call this one of their best now. I'm probably going to get a lot of bad press for saying that. But, that's my opinion, and nothing can change it. However, one thing that everyone, and I mean everyone, can agree with me on is that Tales from Earthsea is a crap film. It is very bad. Actually, it's not just bad, it's awful. It's so boring. Like, look at the poster. You think this film is going to be interesting, and there's dragons fighting at the beginning of the film. It's awesome, but it's so boring. It's just people talking. The action is boring. The voice acting and direction is lifeless. There's nothing unique in it that sets it apart from any other animation and any other fantasy realm. The world is unfocused and doesn't have that much detail put into it. We don't know how the political system works. The girl character is unlikable. Like, oh, violence bad. She's such a... Like, why is this film like this? It's so dumb. And somehow I hate the henchman of the main villain more. It's not a good sign when I hate the freaking sidekick villain to the actual villain, who is just so uninteresting, and his motivation is so incomprehensible, it's laughable. It doesn't make any sense, and Willem Dafoe can't save the performance. He saves Speed 2, but this time, he's not saving anything. But, I will admit, the animation is very good, and the music is also very good as well. And the actual dragon stuff is cool as well. And, yeah, it's such a bad film. That's really bad. I can't praise this film. It's right down here. It's such a bad movie, man. It's so dumb and boring and lame and idiotic, and I hate it so much. But I'm glad now that I've watched this for this ranking, I never have a reason to again. And that's good. It goes here, by the way. Next up is Ponyo, the cutest movie ever made. She's so cute. People say that My Neighbor Totoro is the happiest film by Ghibli, but no, this is the happiest film by Ghibli. There are a few sad moments, of course, with every film, but it's just so cute and adorable. Ponyo is one of my favorite protagonists in any Ghibli film. She's so cute and full of life, and has a very good performance by Noah Cyrus, who is one of his sister of Miley Cyrus and the daughter of Billy Ray Cyrus. Damn. And Sasuke is voiced by Frankie Jonas, who is one of the Jonas Brothers. What? That's crazy. The daughter and son of some of the most, like, the daughter slash sister and brother of some of the most famous singers in our generation. Like, that's crazy. Also, Tina Fey, Matt Damon, Kate Blanchett, Liam Neeson, Lily Tomlin, Betty White, like Colleen O'Shaughnessy, freaking Tails. Like, such a stacked ass cast. I think this is like the biggest cast of any Ghibli film I've ever seen. There's so many recognizable names in there. What about the actual movie? It's great. The animation's detailed and spectacular, stunning. The characters are likable. It's so cute, and I love all the slice of life stuff. But I do still have a few problems with this. Like, the mother, I don't really like her that much. She's kind of insane of how irresponsible she is sometimes, and plus, it doesn't have to be as big scale as it does. Like, it could have just been a fun film about this fish girl who wants to be a human after meeting Sasuke. Or is it Sasuke? I don't know. It's spelled like Sasuke, but it's pronounced in the film like Sasuke. And people pronounce his name like Sasuke, so I don't know. I guess it's Sasuke. But yeah, it has a bit of a. I think it's too big epic scale. I think it could have just been a fun slice of life movie about this fish girl who wants to be a human. I'm not really about it. Also, I don't get how Sasuke is 5. Like, he looks 5, but I know he doesn't look 5. He looks like 8, and he's able to pronounce big words. Like, there's a scene where the two of them are going through like the waterlogged town because of Ponyo mixing all the chemicals in her father's thing. It was played by Liam Neeson, who is a very good actor. He always talks like this, though. Very, deep voice. I'm doing a very bad impression. I don't know who you are. I will find you. And I will kill you. But yeah, this is a very cute film. I love it. I recommend it. I put it here in the ranking. It is very good. Next up is Ariesi. A bit of a decrease. So I personally think this is their most generic film ever. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but this feels more tailor-made towards American audiences than, an actual Ghibli film. It's more like a checkbook of Ghibli film than an actual Ghibli film. Like, there's the romance between a mystical being and a boy, because the mystical being always has to be a girl. There's this character, the villain, always wants to, capture the mythical thing and sell them off. It's dumb sometimes. I mean, the cast is, it's well voice acted. Saoirse Ronan, Tom Holland, Olivia Colman, Mark Strong, all very good actors and actresses. And I also really like the animation. It's really cool as well, and the ending song is great. There are good aspects of this film, but my main problem is that the story and characters are not the most interesting I've seen in any Ghibli film. The characters are still likable, but they're not, captivating or compelling. It's just an ordinary Ghibli film and nothing else. So I just put it here in the ranking. It's not the worst, but I can't really call it the best either. It's more, directly in the middle. Speaking of being directly in the middle, but not really, because it's a bit lower in the ranking, From Up on Poppy Hill. This is the second film by Goro Miyazaki, who also directed himself from Earthsea, which, as you probably could tell, I really didn't like. But I watched this film, and I thought it was going to be great, and I came out disappointed. There are good parts about it, the animation's still really good, it's very funny, all the characters are very likable, I love the clubhouse, I love all the Japanese 60s music, it really gives the film that kind of style, and the ending is pretty sweet. But at the same time, it just doesn't feel like the most interesting film. There's this whole thing about Umi, and Shun having this sort of thing of them potentially having the same father, which could be problematic. But of course, it's not. It's just a theory, a film theory that's immediately destroyed later in the film because it's revealed by what's actually happening. It's a serviceable twist, but it's too predictable. the story's predictable. We know that they're gonna get the clubhouse back. It's not really that intense or interesting. And plus, like, I wish we got to see more of the extra characters, like the fun one. Like, one of the characters in the film is voiced by Ron Howard. Like, how cool is that? But I don't really care for this film. Plus, the actual romance isn't the most interesting thing, and the whole misunderstanding is kind of melodramatic. It's resolved, and it's very sweet when it is, but it just doesn't really capture me. So I put it in the only film in D tier. I probably spoiled it, but who cares? Next up is The Wind Rises, which, before I get to this, there's been a mistake. So if you saw the tier list a lot of minutes ago, I said that it was an A tier, which an A tier is usually a 9 out of 10. But I actually give the film an 8.5 out of 10, and it was the best film for me in B tier. So I moved it down to B tier, which created a bit of confusion. But this film is also in B tier because it is a damn great film and a massive step up from Howl's Moving Castle and Ponyo. Ponyo is still great, but this film is just really great, even more. Of course, there's another example of not the freaking main character being on the freaking poster, but who cares? This is arguably their only biography, sort of fictionalized. The main character is based on a real person. Hell, it is a real person. And there are real characters based on real life in it. But it is very fictionalized and dramatized because it wants to be a romance film. Which, have you noticed that? Like, every realistic Ghibli film always has to have, stuff about crushes. Like, every single one featured stuff about crushes. Like, it's become very repetitive. But it's not a problem in this film because I still really love it. All the airplane stuff and the characters are really likable. Jiro isn't the most interesting protagonist. Like, he feels very stoic throughout most of it, especially by his performance by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But every other character is still likable. I love the romance interest in this, especially the twist that she has tuberculosis. How do you pronounce this? Tuberculosis. How do I pronounce it correctly? So there is a bit of a ticking time aspect when it comes to this. And now Jiro has to get married to her before after she has a lung hemorrhage. But aside from that intense little bit of the film, it is a very sweet film that has a very good ending. And I like it. And it's well acted, beautifully animated, the flying scenes are spectacular. It's just an all-around great film. And I put it in B tier. I got it correct this time. But the next film, I have no jokes for this one. I don't have anything to say at all. I've already mentioned why I think this is the best animated film ever made. It's honestly out of this world. This movie doesn't feel like it could be made by real people. We've seen what people are capable of, the horrors and honestly depressing stuff that they can do. But then people can make something like this. A movie so beautiful and artistful and just compelling. This film, everything about it is perfect. The music, the acting, the score, the same thing. The animation, the story, all the depressing moments. It's such a dark film that has so many uplifting moments as well, but it's just so great. I love it so much. So this film goes in the top. It is better than Spirited Away. I didn't know it could be possible. I didn't know that there could be a film this good, but it is definitely deserving of all the praise it gets. Except it lost Best Animated Feature because Big Hero 6 was apparently better, even though it definitely wasn't. Because, why give a Best Animated Feature to a Japanese film? I mean, come on, we never did it except for Spirited Away back in 2003. Okay? Calm down. That's a topic for another day. But now, we're going back to Ghibli. Second last film. We're breezing through these, but still trying to give enough details to explain why I think they're good movies. When Marnie was there, fixes a problem I had with the Ocean Waves, where there was gay subtext between the two male leads, but was never capitalized on. But this film definitely has this. So the movie is about Anna, who was perfectly and captures depression and loneliness very well. And her arc from going a very depressed individual to becoming more lively and energetic again after meeting Marnie. And the twist surrounding Marnie at the end is shocking. I will not spoil this, but you will love it so much. But yeah, what do I love about this film? The animation, the music, the characters are so compelling and interesting. But there are a few moments that I don't really care for, like the moment where the two of them are dancing and Marnie is singing, and she just has her mouth open, like never mouths out the sound she's making. She's just like never closes her mouth during that scene. I'm sorry, but I can't take it seriously. It's just too funny. And there are a couple slow paced moments that start to get a little bit eh. And there are a couple moments that are confusing about what actually happened. Like, was it a dream? Was he just seeing something? It's never explained. And I wish I could have gone into a bit more detail. But, yeah, aside from those things, this is an incredible film. No, it's a great film. It's a very great film. But you know what's not such a great film? Put this here, by the way. You want to know what's not a great film? Not a good film at all? Eric and the stupid ass goddamn idiotic motherfucking witch. This is still better than Ocean Waves. That's right, I'm putting it above Ocean Waves. You want to know why I put Ocean Waves below this? Because at least I wasn't bored out of my mind. At least I wasn't hating every single character in the film. At least I wasn't wanting death. This film has a couple funny moments. I like Thomas and the Mandrake, okay? They're very funny characters, especially their voice performances. The Mandrake is such a cool character, and plus the music's just such a bop. Like, it's so cool. But yeah, aside from that, this movie kind of sucks. Like, they're so derivative of previous Ghibli films. The two main characters are horribly unlikable. I don't need to explain why this film sucks. You know why it sucks. It's such a bad film. And plus, it's like, the animation sucks. Like, I don't know why they decided to do 3D, but I won't call it worse than Toy Story. I watched a Shea Frillis ranking video of this a long time ago, and he said that this animation was worse than Toy Story from 1995, which I cannot agree with that at all. There are some cool moments with the animation. The expressions are really good. The animation is very bad. It's very badly made, but I wouldn't call it the worst animation in CG. There are definitely worse out there. This is just very bad. The textures look a bit muddy and unrealistic. It's just not a very good looking film, and I think it would have worked better if it was in 2D, which the end credits teases you by having 2D pictures of the characters. It would have improved them just a little bit, but it still sucks. But the reason I still prefer it over Ocean Waves is that if I had the choice between watching this film again and Ocean Waves, I would always go to this film, because at least I had a few enjoyable moments from it. But, with that said, isn't it kind of a coincidence that the two worst films by Ghibli, for me, are both TV movies and both based on books? Anyway, that's probably nothing important. This is my final ranking. So, in F tier, it's Ocean Waves and Earwig and the Witch. In E tier, it's Tales from Earthsea and Only Yesterday. In D tier, it's not My Neighbors, From Up on Poppy Hill. In C tier, it's My Neighbors the Yamadas, R.E.S.E., Howl's Moving Castle, and The Cat Returns. B tier is pretty packed. Pom Poko, When Marnie Was There, My Neighbor Totoro, Ponyo, Porco Rosso, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, The Wind Rises, and Kiki's Delivery Service. In A tier, it's Whisper of the Heart, Castle in the Sky, and Princess Mononoke. And in S tier, it's Grave of the Fireflies, Spirited Away, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya. And that is my final ranking of all these films. A very good ranking, yes, but I think this will definitely get a little bit controversial to some people. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this ranking video. I'm sorry I had to go a little bit faster than the Pixar one, but I have a tight deadline and I have films to get to. So I hope you enjoyed this ranking video. If you should watch a couple of these films, not all of them, because all of them really suck. But I hope you enjoyed this ranking. Make sure you like and subscribe for more rankings, and maybe you might do another animation studio. one that was closed down recently. Coincidence? I think probably. Anyway, goodbye.